name is Shane Donaldson, and I am the Assistant Athletic Director for Media Relations here at the University of Rhode Island. And like many of you, I'm an alumnus of the program, class of 1999, so I've been in and around Rhode Island athletics for more decades than I'd like to admit at this point in my life. But before we get going tonight, I would like to take a few moments just to send our condolences to Stone Freeman. He was the person that was expected to be the host tonight, but earlier today, Stone's father, Russell, or Big Russ as he's affectionately known, passed away due to complications from COVID-19. And as many of you know, Stone is a passionate and valued member of the Rhode Island athletics family. So our thoughts are with Stone and his family, but on to the show tonight. We're obviously very excited to have head coach Jim Fleming and a few of his players with us. On the call right now are redshirt senior outside linebacker LB Mack III, as well as redshirt sophomore inside linebacker Evan Stewart. We'll be talking with them a little bit later on in the show. And running back Zoe Bryant Jr., redshirt senior, will join us a bit later. He let us know that he's going to be on, but just a little bit off schedule. Before we get into the panel discussion with the guests, we want to invite all of our viewers to participate in the chat room section. We'd love to see who's with us tonight. Please type in your name and class year if applicable. Feel free to submit questions that we can read off for Coach and the players. And we're also going to have a couple of rounds of trivia that we'll get going with the first round in just a few moments. Just a point of emphasis, you can answer as many of the questions as you like, but each person can only win one prize. So please make sure to keep the answers coming, and Amy will monitor the chat room and determine the winners as we go along. Also, if you're willing, we'd love to hear what your favorite Rhode Island football memories are. For me personally, I go back to 2010, and it was a 17-14 victory over Villanova. Villanova at the time was the defending national champion, and Rhode Island blocked a punt. Willie McGinnis, a defensive tackle who went on to play several years in the Arena Football League, blocked a punt and recovered it in the end zone with about 2.5 minutes to go in the game to provide the winning margin. And it was just one of the more exciting events that I've been a part of, that I've witnessed in my time at the University of Rhode Island. So we'll find out Coach Fleming's favorite memory at URI in just a few moments as well, and we'll ask LB to contribute one. But first, let's start off with a few trivia questions. And like I said a moment ago, feel free to enter your answers into the chat room. Question number 1. What was the first year that URI fielded a football program? Question number 2. How many seats are there at Meade Stadium, which is the home of Rhode Island football? And question number 3. How many appearances has Rhode Island made in the Division I AA or FCS playoffs? Again, please include your name and class year as you answer each one of those trivia questions. At this time, I'd like to officially welcome head coach Jim Fleming, as well as LB and Evan, to the show. Coach, obviously this year has been unlike any other year, given the pandemic and the schedule changes and the idea that we're going to play football in the spring as opposed to in the fall. If you don't mind, take a few moments and fill everybody in on what the program's been up to this fall.
It might take more than a few moments for sure. I mean, there's been so much that's gone on, not only within our program, obviously around the country. We're all, struggling through with this reluctant enemy, COVID. It just seems to continue to be the gift that keeps on giving. But I think, when you start talking about URI football and the trials that this crew has been through, it really goes back to, all the way when we were discontinued, when we'd sent them home for spring break and then had to go ahead and call them and say, hey, wait another week, and hey, wait another week, and, kept on going. And, our kids were extremely resilient. They just continued to say, okay, coach, just tell us what we need to do. They, keep training, keep getting ready, and we'll keep on working on the details. And we all know this, this COVID hangover just continues to hang out there for us, so we went through, not only incredible things throughout the country, with social injustice and a number of tremendously impactful social events that, was very hard for us to be a part at that point in time. and then, just keep on marching through. We were planning for a early July return, and then, the season got kicked back, postponed until the spring. And so then, of course, we started making the plans to, get the kids back when school started and try to figure out how we were going to go ahead and prepare them during that time. So what we've been able to do is, once we got back to campus here in September, we were required and necessarily so to be able to go into a 2-week quarantine, not only for the people from hotspot states. They came in early and spent 2 weeks in a hotel waiting to get onto campus. And then we had another 2-week pause, just making sure that the entire campus community was healthy. So, I've got to give, a hat off to the administration and to the people that were making very tough decisions and very tough calls in terms of how we would get back to school, how we would maintain in school, and then, of course, from our perspective, how we would continue preparing as a football team. So we went through a 2-week period where we were in very small pods, pods of 5 to 10, and we were, lifting and running and doing football specific work. Then we went into another 2-week period where we were able to put the helmets on and do, a little bit more aggressive football preparation, having a chance to throw and catch versus each other. And then we went into what we called fall ball. And fall ball was designed to be a 15 practices, very similar and representing exactly what we've all in the football world understand about spring football practice. And we were able to, gate ourselves to a full team activity and all the while, managing the threats of COVID throughout the semester. So, much tribute to our kids. I think that they made an incredible amount of social sacrifice just to be able to protect the privilege to play. And when we did get into our fall ball period, we were able to go and work our first 3 practices in a segmented, split team approach. And then we were able to come together for 3 full team practices where we really got a taste of what this football team can be in practice number 6. It was an opportunity. We went out for a normal practice. We had a couple periods at the end of the practice that I had considered scrimmaging, and our kids were, really excited about getting back on the field and playing, 11-on-11 football, which, became something that I think they all recognize as a gift, something we'd all taken for granted for so long. Had an opportunity to get out there and bang it around. Now, unfortunately, we had a positive case, after that practice number 6. And as protocols dictated at that time, and hopeful to be able to change, but protocols dictated that, we needed to go into quarantine, and the instruction was made hours after a very spirited practice that we needed to go in as a full team to a 2-week quarantine. So the kids went off, and, the kids went to their homes if they were off campus, or they went, into the hotel again if they were on campus, and started to, just kind of bide their time taking care of their academics. We continued to meet with them virtually. We continued to keep them engaged in football. And as soon as we got through the quarantine, we were able to get back and we were able to complete, 12 of the 15 allowable practices, but we were doing it in a segmented manner. We had, limited groups going against each other. So we had to be very creative as a coaching staff, and we were able to get some very significant work done during the course of fall, in preparation for this season. Now, all you people on this call, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your interest in football, and probably like me are really itchy to go out there and get to see it happen again, particularly at Meade Stadium when we are able to come home for three home contests. But we're in the position right now where we've got a good football team, going on the field. We still have a lot of questions to answer. So in regards to the team, we've got, a very, very nice quarterback competition going on. We brought in a couple of transfer players that are competing heavily, plus our returning players. Our receiver core is good. We obviously are missing, 2 giants in the receiver core with Isaiah Coulter and Aaron Parker, who've taken off to the NFL. But we've got a good group of guys that we've been grooming for quite a period of time that I think we can really pick up and pick off where we left off offensively there. Our offensive line is very solid. You know, got a group there that, you know, we miss Murph. You know, Murph, we'd love to have him back for another 4 years, but he's off to the NFL as well. But got very good players at that position. And I think our running back crew, which has been led by Zoe Bryant and a couple of additions there, I'm very excited about that. And of course, you know, our tight end crew, Caleb Warren, and those guys are very effective. In addition to the offensive personnel, you know, we've had a changeover, a lot of change on the offensive side of the ball. You know, we've got a new offensive coordinator, Pat Murphy. We brought in from Holy Cross. Very excited what he's able to do. You know, we've got a spread-oriented attack that we're very excited to see come together in its full capabilities as soon as we get back to practice. And you know, we're just really looking. We've really got some high expectations for these guys. So then you look over on the defensive side, and we've had a very big overhaul there. You know, we've changed some scheme, which will kind of keep that under wraps until we play Bryant, so we're not tipping our hand. But I've also brought in a number of very young and talented football coaches that are doing a great job with that crew. You know, led by Coop. You know, Coop is a new defensive coordinator, brought him from Nebraska. We've got a new defensive line coach, Umberto DeMeo. We've got a new inside backers coach with Chris Laurenti. And then, of course, we've got guys that have been here before, Troy Gilmer and Chris Sato, that are rounding out that group. Our special teams is solid. You know, we're turning both of our kickers. CJ Carrick has a chance to be able to put the next season or two. He's got, you know, both spring and fall, and has a chance to be an all-time scoring leader here if he'll continue to go ahead and put it between the uprights. So we're very positive. We're very excited. You know, I'm sitting here right now with, you know, rendition number 15 or so of the practice plan that continues to change, you know, frustratingly so. But I think we've really done as a program a very admirable job. I'm very excited about the leadership that is given by some of the guys on this call. Zoe and LB particularly have been around for quite some time and contributed greatly to this program. And then I thought to introduce Evan to this call, I think was an important piece, knowing that, you know, here's a kid who was up at Boston College and decided he made a critical mistake years ago and should have gone to URI in the first place. So, you know, just a little bit in jest with Evan, but, you know, those guys, you know, Evan, Malachi Burby, you know, our two quarterbacks, Pop Robinson and Kasim Hill, you know, Stephen Gatechick. I mean, there's a number of guys that have come in here that have, you know, really found the promised land in URI, and they're contributing greatly so far, and I really can't wait to put it together when we get them back here after the first of the year.
All right,
so,
Coach.
Yep.
Thank you very much. I'm going to introduce a couple of the players now, and while they're talking, I'm going to build up a list of about 20 other questions because you just answered about 50 of the ones I had on my list. So thank you for doing that. All right. So first off, I want to introduce LB Mack III. He is a redshirt senior, and he's one of the best pass rushers in program history. He enters his final year URI ranked 9th in program history with 13 sacks. As a junior, he led the team in both tackles for loss with 11 and sacks with 6. He's spent the majority of his career as a defensive end, but he's also been working at outside linebacker, making a position shift. And he actually sat out last season, so he's a key piece to the defense that is coming back to the program, bringing an extensive amount of leadership to the program. He also probably holds the record for most roster names of any player in history. When he first got here, he was Willie Mack, then he was William Mack, now he's LB Mack, and then he was LB Mack III. So I think this year I'm going to call him Little Bill on the roster just to make sure I have something new for all 5 of his seasons. But LB, thank you very much for joining us tonight. If you don't mind sharing with us, what was it about the University of Rhode Island that brought you to the program in the first place?
Well, thank you, Shane, for having me. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. But what brought me here, to be honest, was my visit. You know what I'm saying? Like, my visit wasn't really the most typical visit. It wasn't like the best weather outside. It wasn't the most people outside. It was actually snowing on my visit. It was rainy. It was nasty out. You know what I'm saying? And when I got here, though, like when I got inside the dorms, that's when I really felt like that I could really see myself coming here. Actually, Zoe was actually my host. So like right when I got to school, like Zoe was the one who showed me the ropes. Like I stayed with Zoe for the night and everything. He would just tell me what it's really like. And then when I got home from from my recruiting visit, my dad was like, who's your recruiting coordinator again? I'm like, Coach Maselli, because he was Coach Maselli at the time. He was like, Maselli, that name sounds familiar. Pull up a picture of him, right? So I pulled up a picture and I showed my dad. And long story short, you know what I'm saying? It's a small world. Coach Maselli ended up, he actually coached my father. When my father was at Ramapo College back in, back in the good old days. But yeah, so I was speaking, and I just felt confident with Coach Fleming at the time, you feel me, and still now. And I just felt the vibe when I came here that this is the place for me.
That's good stuff. We're gonna touch base with LB again in a little bit. I've got a few questions for him about a special student group that he's a part of that he and I chatted about earlier in the fall. For those folks that don't know, LB is a special guy on and off the field, doing a lot of great things. He's somebody that's going to make the university proud for many years to come. He's one of my favorite people to interact with. Next up, I want to introduce Evan Stewart, who came to the school last spring. So he's been at the campus for about a year now, transferred in from Boston College, got a little bit of taste at the FBS level, and is now coming in from St. Joseph's in New Jersey, where he was, I guess active would be an understatement. I believe he finished his high school career with 239 tackles, 114 as a senior with 3 interceptions and a couple of fumble recoveries. Was so good that coming out of high school, he was a top 100 recruit as both a safety and a linebacker. So that's pretty darn impressive. But Evan, thank you for taking the time. LB talked about his recruiting visit. From what I understand, you had an interesting one as well when you came to Rhode Island. A little birdie told me that your car may or may not have been fully packed on your way home to New Jersey when you stopped by Kingston.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me. Yeah, it was a little different. So I actually transferred in between my sophomore first semester and last spring semester, and I finished my last final on, I'm pretty sure it was December 11th, and I cleaned out my dorm, and I actually went right to Kingston on a Friday. I took an official day that night, and I fell in love with the place. I fell in love with the coaches and players that welcomed me. Everything was great, and I had a feeling this was a spot for me. Everything was great, so.
That's pretty cool. And from what I understand too, you had a connection with the URI program. Brady Rourke, who is a redshirt freshman with the team, I believe that you and he played together at St. Joseph's. What had he told you about the program before you got here?
He had nothing bad to say at all about the program. He's a happy guy all the time. I could tell that he really loved it here just by everything that he said. I mean, from football to the campus to the social life here, he had nothing bad to say about it. He convinced my parents too when we were home. He would call my dad and stuff and just make sure I was coming. So
that's good stuff. All right, I'm gonna switch back over to LB. I'm not gonna ask Evan his favorite memory so far of URI football because he has yet to play. So I'm afraid that his answer would probably be getting out of quarantine, back in the fall, and we don't want to dwell on that stuff. So LB, looking back, you've been here for several years now. What would you point to as your favorite memory here as a member of URI football?
My favorite, it's hard to say just one, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can give the cliche answer, but honestly, every day is a memory with these guys, you know what I'm saying? Like, just being in the locker room, just winning games, just campus life and everything. But I would have to say one of my favorite memories was, I think it was my sophomore year, I believe. We went to R1 karting in I believe it's in Central Falls, Rhode Island. It's like a go-kart place. They have like go-kart and bowling alleys and like ping pong, everything. You feel me? They had good food. So we went as a team and like as a whole team, and it was a great experience. You know what I'm saying? Just getting to just come outside of thinking football for half a second. You know what I'm saying? Just living life and just seeing the coaches outside of their coaching shoes and the players outside of their playing shoes, and just allowing everybody to just come together and just enjoy life. You know what I'm saying? Because life's too short. You know what I'm saying? With everything going on nowadays, just appreciating those times where you just can come outside can get in the comfort zone, but it's outside your comfort zone. You know what I'm saying? Like we're a football team. We all think football all day. We talk football all day. So now we're coming outside of our comfort zone, just being able to be ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Just sharing those experiences with the guys, and just like locker room talk. Like I remember one time, we was practicing and it started raining, and then we get in the locker room after practice, and then the coach is coming like, "Oh yeah, just so you guys know, school is canceled today." And like right when we heard that, you know what I'm saying? come on, it's a boys locker room, Division I locker room. Like we going crazy for like an hour in there before we not even shower, none of that. We just having fun, man. That's what it's all about. And then like, I'm staying back on in May 2019 when I was told that I might not be able to play anymore because I have to get surgery. That hit home. So like now just practicing every day, like I'm just looking at the game through a whole nother lens. Excuse me, through a whole nother lens that I never thought was possible. Like I thought before that news, I thought I knew everything about the game and obviously there's stuff to learn, but I just thought I was like mentally I was all in. But like being told that I can't come, like I'm not allowed to play no more, and like that being a realistic option, that didn't sit well with me at all. Like it just gave me that feeling in my stomach, like nah, like I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So now like I'm just like going to practice, you know what I'm saying, practicing hard, just trying to lead my teammates, lead guys on and off the field, you know what I'm saying, just trying to do the right thing and just become the person I know I am and the person I know my parents raised.
That's pretty cool stuff. Evan, you not quite the same situation. LB obviously sat out because of an injury, but you redshirted while you were at Boston College. How does that help a player in their learning process when they're figuring out stuff about themselves? You know, when you've been playing all your life and then you have to go through practice for a whole year without seeing the field a whole lot. What do you learn about your personal game in that situation?
Yeah, that first year was definitely a little challenging for me. Coming from high school, a big high school, playing a lot. I definitely learned a lot during that. I mean, because you think in high school you're obviously going to play right away, and it's a humbling experience for sure. I mean, and there's a lot of good people that I did learn a lot of football and about myself, especially, and I learned that I just wanted to play, and that's one of the reasons why I did end up transferring, and ever since then it's been perfect. I haven't had any no regrets at all, and everything's been awesome. So.
Well, that's good. We like when things are awesome. That's the way we are trying to get. Coach, for you, you know, this is the first year you've been around the game for, you know, many, many years. And to go through a fall where there are no games, where you're practicing and it's kind of an open-ended future in terms of when are you going to see the field, how does that change the mindset for how you approach each day with the program?
It's obviously very different, you know, not having the opportunity to compete in the fall. You know, it just happened to be that every Saturday around 1 o'clock, you'd look out at a beautiful day and say, boy, I wish we were playing today. And I think, you know, the thing that does not change, and it's one of the messages that I think these guys have heard a million times, is that, you know, we have to embrace every opportunity to play the game. And even though we're not playing competitive games in the fall, you know, there was still opportunity for us to do whatever we could, you know, and it was, you know, and until, you know, we're all out there and we're, you know, taking the practice schedules and scrapping them and let the kids get out and play, which we did in that one day, practice number 6, remember very clearly. You know, that's what, you know, was very, very cool to see, is that, you know, their joy of just out there playing. And I think we witnessed it throughout the country over the course of the fall. You know, when you watch all these games on TV, and particularly the ones that are done with nobody in the stands, I mean, it really is really pretty inspiring to see, because, you know, these kids are playing for the love of the game, man. I mean, they like to get out there, they like to compete. So, I mean, I think that to answer the question specifically, it was just incredibly challenging for me to make sure I put them in a position that would allow them to develop. Because, you know, when they come here, you know, the kids come to play, they come to go to school, get an education, and to play football. And our approach from the days we sat in the living room with these guys, or wherever, you know, when we got Evan in the car or whatever, the phone call or LB's deal, I mean, it's always been that, you know, we're going to go ahead and make sure that you are going to be able to achieve, or try to create an opportunity for you to achieve and reach your fullest potential in all areas. And to me, you know, you can listen to coaches, they'll say, you know, academics number 1, football number 2. I truly and honestly believe that they're on even par, that these kids are really wired for, you know, competitive success in all areas. They want to be able to go ahead and not only be the best possible football player they can be, they want to be able to achieve that degree in the classroom. And I believe that the same mentality for success carries over not only on, into the classroom football field. It's all the same. They've got a tremendous desire to be able to go out and put effort in and understand that, in this world, the great equalizer is hard work. So I think, that it's been, very validating to watch these kids, come through, and then for us to be able to create whatever we could to be able to allow them to continue to develop and advance in their pursuit of being the best they can be as football players. And that was truly a very, very challenging thing for them. I mean, to go out and be limited, and at the end of fall ball, we were in contact groups of 10. So we were only allowed to have contact groups between offense and defensive players of the same 10 people. And they were always carrying around, opportunities to know that if someone tests positive, that they would lose the opportunity to play tomorrow, just like that. So, I mean, I think that there was a tremendous, admiration of me towards these guys to be able to embrace every opportunity. I'm very proud of our coaching staff. I thought we were very creative in terms of how we were able to, give ourselves a chance to develop as a team. And now we're obviously looking forward to getting back here in January and going full metal jacket.
Sounds good. I can vouch for the fact that Coach was feeling it on every Saturday during the fall. He texted me a few times, and all the message said was, we're supposed to be kicking off right now. And I could feel every ounce of the angst that he was feeling, but we will get back to games soon enough. Just a reminder, folks, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat room. We're going to do a few more of the trivia questions right now. First off, question number 4, and this is a 50-50 one, so even if you don't know the answer, take your best shot. You got a coin flip chance of getting it right. True or false, Rhode Island has played as both an independent and a conference-affiliated team? That's question number 4. Question number 5, the Rams have won 7 conference championships. What conference was that a part of? And then our final trivia question is, which running back who played from 1951 through 1954 remains the school's all-time leading rusher 59 seasons after his career ended? When you think about that, that's insane. The guy holds a record that has stood for almost 60 years now. Give us the answers to those 3 questions, and we will share the winners later on. I did see one question from and I hope I pronounced this correctly, Chiuka. We are hoping to have fans this spring. That will depend on the COVID situation and the pandemic. So obviously we have our fingers crossed. And just to share a little bit about you, I did meet your son, AJ, earlier this fall. I helped him find one of his study hall rooms when he was working his way around Mackle very early in the semester. So just thought you'd like to know that he represented himself very well. He's a very good dude, and he was going to study hall. So he checked off all the boxes that day. I thought you'd like to know that. So we have been joined by Zoe Bryan Jr., which is good because I had basically told Zoe that if he didn't show up, I could always go back and change his grade from when he interned with me a couple of years ago. Zoe, like LB, is one of my favorite guys that I've gotten to know during his time at URI. For those folks that don't know, he has been our leading running back each of the last couple of seasons, has nearly 1,000 yards rushing over the last 2 years with 7 touchdowns. He also has 32 career catches, and he has actually started on both sides of the ball. When he first got to Rhode Island, he played at both a safety and a linebacker, and switched over to the offensive side of the ball. And as I mentioned, he interned with me a couple years ago, did a great job doing some interviews with his teammates and writing feature stories for Go Roadie, and I think learned something about himself in terms of what he can do off the field. Zoe, if you don't mind, I asked this of the other guys earlier, when you think about Rhode Island football, what is the top memory that pops up in your time so far over the last 4 years?
A top memory that pops up immediately when you ask me that question is that game at Delaware. I think it was 2018, if I'm not mistaken. That game at Delaware, that game meant a lot to me and to the program. That was my first game coming off of 3 season-ending injuries. That was my first start on offense, and that game meant a lot about perseverance to me. That's one of our key words, talking about this program, 3 more feet, perseverance. persistence and production. We talk about the 3 Ps all the time. And I persevered individually, but also as a program. That was our first time starting with the home opener in a long time. And to go on the road with a quality opponent at Delaware, just see the joy, the excitement on everybody's face as we stormed off the field after a win. And that was our first winning season in a while. So that game is a fond memory. I mean, that's a prevalent memory for me and for this program, I think, as well. So that's my final answer.
That's a good answer. And for those folks that don't know, at the time, Delaware opened the season ranked number 15 in the country. So it wasn't just that Rhode Island won on the road. It was beating a ranked program and truly turning the corner as a program. You mentioned that, you put together a winning season that year. Take me through that finale against New Hampshire. It was a tight game. You guys walked off the field and got to send out that senior class as a winning senior class. It was the first winning season in 17 years for the program.
Yeah, first off, let me say that was a great season. It was just fun, a lot of energy, great guys. But that game was hectic. It was stressful. We was New Hampshire. They battled to the wire, and we battled as well. So that game was a dogfight throughout. And towards the end, it was a close game. And I actually fumbled. I had my first fumble of my career, actually. And talking about adversity, they were close to score. Our defense got a great stop, and then we had to finish the game, pushing it out, running the clock out. So that game was a doozy. It was a good game. It was a hard-fought battle, and I'm glad that my guys could pull it off to seal the deal and get our first winning season. My first winning season as a Ram and first winning season in 17 years, like you said.
No doubt, no doubt. I want to switch now. I'm going to go back to LB for just a moment. I referenced it early in the call, talking about how the members of this program make an impact off the field. And LB, you and I met early in the school year, and you told me about the program that you're a part of that's called Locked In. And this is something that you started with 4 other students on campus, 2 of them who were former members of the URI football program. And this is a program that you started that's designed to help student or youths from disenfranchised communities to stay engaged and to believe in themselves and learn about themselves. If you don't mind, give the folks here a little bit of history about Locked In and why this was such an important endeavor for you.
Yeah, so it's called the Locked In Foundation, right? And it was actually founded by Marie Lua. She's a graduate, 2020 graduate. And we actually we were close friends since we first came in here in 2016. And it's me, Jarrell De Los Santos. He played a wide receiver here. He was a walk-on. Josh McLean, aka Nemo. He was a prep school guy that came here. And we really just we started this, after sophomore year, we started talking about we should just really try to do something bigger than us. Like, what could we do to show that we really care and that we really want to make change in this world? So basically what Locked In is we're a 3-step program, 3-step foundation, which is a scholarship-based, community service-based, and mentor and menteeship-based program. And like you said, we target disenfranchised youth from communities where they might lack the education or the education or opportunity that some other kids may have. And basically we want to keep them engaged. We want to make sure that they know that there's something, and they know and that they know that no matter where they come from, they can be whoever they want to be. With no limitations ahead of them. And so what we've done so far is first thing we did, we held a camp at the beginning of the COVID when it wasn't too bad. We had it was like a meet who's in your town type of thing. So it was in Providence, Rhode Island, and it was a whole different bunch of tables set up, and we had camps for kids. We had a dodgeball tournament, a kickball tournament, a flag football tournament, and then there's also a lot of Black-owned businesses in the city of Providence. A lot of people do a couple females did wigs, a lot of different clothing designs and stuff like that. So we wanted to just put it out there, show everybody what they're doing. And another thing we did, we gave away our first annual. It's gonna be more than annual, probably bi-monthly. What we're gonna do, we gave away our first scholarship to a young man from Cranston, Rhode Island, named URI. It was $1,000 scholarship, and that money was just funded from us. We know that we're a young beginning business, and we're not gonna have that much funds right now because not too many people know about us. Our names aren't out there. So we just like, we said like, yo, how can we really show that we really want to start early? So we all came together, pitched in, and we gave him $1,000 scholarship. And then also like about 2 weeks ago, we had our first ever coat drive at Kennedy Plaza in Rhode Island. And basically what we did was we had like a couple tables set up, and we had like over 375 like clothing items, like jackets, scarves, earmuffs, all that type of stuff. And we just posted up for probably about like 4 to 5 hours. And we would just like give like whatever like homeless people or like, I'm saying, less fortunate people came around. We was just offering them whatever they wanted, and like to see the look on their faces and like the pain that they just wanted, like they all want to cry, but it's like they know that they can't cry, but it's like, damn, we want to, see my language, but we want to cry for, like, it's crazy. Like my mother's the type of person that really made me like live my life like that. She's such a giving person, and like there's no way I can't grow up not being a reflection of her. So like I'll never forget, like this one lady came up to me. She came to the table with her son, right? And she kept looking at the stuff like as if she really wanted it. And she just walked away. I'm like, excuse me, miss, why are you walking away? She's like, oh no, I don't have any money. I'm like, nah, that right there, like exactly what I wanted to hear. Like, nah, you don't need any money. Like, this is for you. We're doing this for you. So she's like, for real? Like, there's no way. Like, so I seen a little boy had like a little jacket, a little sweater on, right? Gave him a coat. And I just like, this is looking at her eyes. Like that to me is second to none. You know what I'm saying? That's an unbeatable feeling. And she just started crying, like bawling to her knees and everything. Like, this is his only jacket and stuff like that. Like, and just seeing like that I can change her life. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if she was like, I don't know what her life is like. I don't know what his life is like, but just knowing that I can change somebody's life or help impact it for the right way. If I can do that, I'm gonna do that forever.
Yeah, that is awesome. And you know, I tell people all the time, one of my favorite parts of the job that I have is getting to know the student athletes that we get to work with. You know, it's not about the fact that you guys are athletes. It's about the impact that you make in the community on and off the field. Coach, I'd like to kind of get your thoughts and your response to knowing, you know, the work that LB did, and knowing that it was, you know, Nemo and Jarrell, guys who have been through the program, coming together to make that kind of impact off the field.
Well, I mean, you know, you're extremely proud for all these things, what these guys do, but it takes some leadership. And, you know, when you're looking at LB, I'm sure he was the one that kind of strung it all together and said, hey, let's go do this kind of thing. You know, it's incredible sometimes when I hear the stories of what some of these guys are doing, which, you know, sometimes I know, sometimes I don't. I remember, you know, with LB's, I was aware of it, didn't know all the things he'd been doing up there in Providence. You know, I remember, you know, catching a Twitter feed or whatever with DJ Stewart one time driving home, stopping his car and giving his shirts out of his trunk to some person that was in need. And there's a number of those guys that really understand that, you know, they've been blessed with some very special gifts. You know, those gifts and that talent has been met with opportunity as in forms of a scholarship. And I think that all of them have a very strong sense that there's a need to give back. You know, other people aren't as fortunate as we are to be able to come to work at a place like this, to be able to get a scholarship and get their education. So, I mean, all of those things are extremely sources of pride for me in the football program, because they represent that. And we talk about that quite a bit as a football program, to understand that when they walk anywhere on campus, anywhere in the community, people are going to know that you're a football player. And, you know, their responsibility to represent themselves in the program as people that do recognize that there are people that are less fortunate than us is something that's very, very good and very, very source of pride for us as a football program.
All right, Coach, we do have a question in the chat room. This one comes from EC Jenkins, and he would like to know, what are the plans for practicing outdoors once the team returns in January?
Well, the plans started back in July when we found out that we had canceled or postponed the season and we were heading towards the spring season. My immediate reaction was to find out, do we have a way to clear the field of snow? And after many, you know, unanswered emails, you know, finally, you know, somebody got to Matt Thor and he brought it all the way up to the president's office, and of course was able to get a contract to make sure we'd have a place to play, because, you know, we don't have an indoor facility here. That's something that all the good people on this call are probably going to be starting to think about putting together for us pretty quickly. But, you know, we will go out and we will get, you know, we've got good cold weather gear. You know, we've got gloves, we've got sweatshirts, and we're going to go out there and we will practice, you know, by design, just about an hour and a half later than we normally do. Usually we're on the field from 8 to 10:15. We've got a little bit of a delay because of the cold weather, so we'll practice more 10 to 12:15, somewhere like that. And you know, now that we got the plows going to be coming here taking care of the field, we'll get out there, we'll put our woolies on, as they used to say in the old days, and we go to work. And so, you know, we'll have to play in it. And I think the biggest example and biggest representative of that is right up the road in Foxborough, because they certainly do have an indoor facility, but knowing their coaches and their players, they don't use it very much, because you got to play and practice in the same type of environment. And that's what we'll be doing. In January 29th is the start of training camp, and kickoff date February 27th with Brian. So we'll be out there, so think of us in the mornings when it's awful cold out there, but we will be getting our work in.
Excellent. All right, we're going to go with a couple more questions to the student athletes. I'm going to go back to Evan, get him back into the call here. Evan, you said you've been here for about a year. What are some of the things about the program that you picked up on, and maybe what have you learned about inside linebackers coach Chris Laurenti, who is new to the staff, so followers of the program may not be all that familiar with Coach?
Yeah, so since I've got here, I got here before Coach Laurenti and Coach Cooper, actually. So I came in without knowing who the linebacker coach would be. I thought it was going to be Coach Gilmer at the time. And then Coach Cooper came in, met with him, and instantly there was a connection there. I thought it was going to be the right choice right when Coach Coop showed up. And then Coach Laurenti came, I think, a couple weeks after, and we started talking, and me and him were both new to the program, so me and him were kind of in the same situation. But he's a great guy. He knows football really well. He's someone who's very, very passionate about what he does, and someone who brings a lot of energy to practice. He's a younger guy too, so he's been in our shoes. He knows what's going on, and someone who is going to be a great coach.
All right, so I'm going to pop back over to you, and going to ask you, you know, you've got a unique situation here where you're looking at playing 7 games this spring and then a regular 11-game season next fall. As a player, how different is that mindset knowing that you're going into competition this fall as opposed to getting ready for, you know, spring camp, which was essentially 15 practices over the course of a month? You know, is there a different level of adrenaline, you know, as you kind of go into this winter break, knowing that when you come back, it's going to be go time, it's not practice time?
Oh, yes, for sure. I mean, but that just comes down to character, you know, tradition, you know, staying ready. You know, we wanted to play so bad, so we knew with the fall being postponed, we knew what that would come into the spring. So if you want it, coach always says, if you want this, you'll make the sacrifice. So we're willing to make that sacrifice, and we're mentally locked in over break, doing what we can. You know, some areas gyms are closed, but you have to find a way. You know, no one cares about your excuse; they care about the result. But going back as a on this team over break, I mean, you just know it's basically what I said. You know what comes with it. So it's tough, but attitude is latitude. You know, you have to push through it. Even at the cold weather you were talking about, I mean, you got to get over it. Everyone's coming into cold weather in February, coming to practice in January. I will say the coaches have done a great time with fall practices, managing our bodies, and, you know, practice aren't as long or as strenuous as they usually are. So that helps a lot. But we definitely have to take a different mental approach into it and just understand it for what it is and attack the day.
That's awesome, Coach. That's some of the senior leadership that you're talking about right there, setting the tone for the rest of the team. We can't wait. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Associate Athletic Director for Development, Garrett Waller, who's going to give an update on some recent success that the program had in terms of fundraising. Garrett, go ahead.
Thanks, Shane, and thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. My name is Garrett Waller. I'm the Associate Athletic Director for Development at URI. It's so great to see so many of you on here, considering we haven't been able to gather much this past 9 months. I miss all of you in the tailgate lots. I do see a lot of our friends that we see during game day, Doug and Lorraine Randall. I see that you're on here. We miss you guys in the tailgate lot. The Richies, Caroline, I see that you're on here. It would be good to see you in person soon. And of course, we got Warren Negri from down there in DC. I see you, Warren. How you doing? Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'd just like to give 2 quick updates about the university and its progress in the fundraising area, and some good news about the football program. First, I'd like to say that all of you have participated in some way in our 3rd annual Day of Giving on October 1st. The university was able to raise over $1.2 million from 2,500 gifts in 24 hours on that day. But with the support of everybody on this call, the football program actually finished in 1st place on the Men's Sports Leadership Board, raising over $50,000 from 100 people in 24 hours. That qualified for the grand bonus prize of $7,500 for the program. So we were able to put about $60,000 of resources together for Coach Fleming and guys like Evan, LB, and Zoe to have a better experience. Athletics as a whole raised $300,000 that day with over 1,300 donors. That's a true testament to the power of athletics and its success at URI, as almost half the donors to the university that day were given to athletic funds. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that the university is also in the middle of a capital campaign. The Big Ideas, Bold Plans, the campaign for URI. It's a comprehensive capital campaign enhancing all of our areas of the university. I'm pleased to announce that we are currently standing around over 180 million of our initial $250 million goal. It's an unbelievable accomplishment so far this year, although the last 2 or 3 years, and a lot of you on this call have participated. We thank you. And if you'd like to be more involved, please don't hesitate to call somebody from the Athletic Development Office, myself, or Jeff Bennett, and we'd be glad to help you. Once again, it's great to see you all. Thank you so much for being here. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. Have a happy holidays, and we'll see you all soon, hopefully in person in the spring. Back to you, Shane.
Thank you very much, Garrett. And folks, if you don't mind, we'd love to have you send in some well wishes and good luck notices to the players and the coaching staff in the chat room. I'm going to turn it over to Coach in just a moment, but I would be remiss. We almost went the whole hour. I forgot to mention a couple of key things about the program. Yesterday, we had 2 players on active rosters in the NFL. Isaiah Coulter, wide receiver that Coach mentioned earlier, made his NFL debut playing for the Houston Texans against the Chicago Bears. And former offensive lineman David Steinmetz was on the active 53-man game day roster for Washington. He did not get into the game, but he did play a couple weeks ago on Thanksgiving Day, which is a heck of a day to make your NFL debut. There are 6 active NFL players that came out of Rhode Island right now. Isaiah Coulter, as we mentioned, Houston Texans. Dave Steinmetz with Washington. Kyle Murphy, that Coach mentioned, is on the active roster with the Giants. Aaron Parker has been reactivated to the practice squad with the Dallas Cowboys. Justin Rohrwasser is kicking with the Patriots on the practice squad. And Rex Sunahara, former long snapper, is on the practice squad with the Miami Dolphins. So to my knowledge, this is the first time in program history that we've had 6 active NFL players at one time, which is, pretty awesome. But at this time, I want to say thank you to each of the players for taking the time. As I said earlier in the show, my favorite part of my job is getting to know each of the players that represents us on a day in and day out basis. I don't even know how many conversations I've had with Zoe in my office, just talking about different stories. And it's really the best part of my day. Sitting with LB, getting to know the stuff that he's doing. It makes me proud to be an alum of the school, and it makes my degree that much stronger. So I appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much. Coach, if you don't mind giving some closing thoughts and sharing with us your outlook for what is this crazy year that's ahead of us.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank everybody who tuned in today and those that even haven't, that have all been contributing to our success here as a football program. I can't think in my career if there's been a tougher year, in terms of coming off of a disappointing finish last year and then going through all kinds of change and then being able to get ready to go ahead and go on your normal progress and be delayed by something that we're all sharing as a nation, this incredible battle with COVID. I mean, it's been a long one, but at the same time, as good things come to those who wait, at least they tell me that. And, we're really, really looking forward to the opportunity to get back here in January. I've always thought, that period of time, January, is the best time to get our football players usually back to prepare their bodies. But as we come back, I'm really excited to see what we have. I mean, it's, you know, I'd like to sit here and say I've got all the questions answered. I know everything we need to know about our offense, defense, and special teams. We still have a lot of competition, a lot of things to fine tune and get ready to play games and go out and compete against somebody else. And what I've talked to the kids about is that, we will find every opportunity we can to be able to get out on the field and play the game. And when you look at our schedule, we're lining up against people, Bryant for the first time, which is an in-state team that we're going to have on the schedule for, I believe, 10 years going forward. So we're really excited to get a chance to get after them. They're a well-represented team out of the NEC, but then we go back to CAA play. And each one of the teams we have on the schedule are teams that we've either beaten in recent times, or we had beat for the most part, with the exception of about 40 or 50 seconds last year. So our charge has been to get 40, 50 seconds better in each one of those tight football games and find a way to go ahead and bring the success we're all been waiting very patiently for here at URI. But, we are full speed ahead as a coaching staff. We've got a great group of guys that are leading these young men. I think we've got them in a very good mindset to be able to attack every challenge that will come down the road, and really looking forward to putting it together and seeing if we can make, 2021 equally as good as 2020 was bad, I guess I should say. It's kind of a foregone conclusion, but I'm sure everybody's looking forward to New Year's and turning that chart away from 2020, hoping that the country can stay healthy, hoping particularly that our football team can stay healthy throughout every single challenge that they have through school and training and practice. And, we're just really thrilled for the opportunity, and can't tell you again how much we appreciate all that you guys have done for us to be able to show the support necessary. Some of you I see that are parents of our kids, your kids, we share them. I'm very excited to take them through another season, and still, as always, very proud to be the head coach at the University of Rhode Island. So I can't tell you much. I thank everybody. Amy, great job. Shane, thank you so much. And particularly my guys, I appreciate you guys taking the time. I know Zoe had to get out of a graduate school course, which he'll graduate in May. So lots to be said, but thank you for everybody for showing up tonight, and go Rhodey.